Hi there and welcome to our channel, our little French room and big journey. It's very cold today. As you can see, I've got my builder's tee still. I've got some fingerless mittens on. Yes, I have got a shawl on. I also have thermals. It is very cold. Anyway, my name is Sally Ann. My husband's name is Andy. He's in the barns working at the moment. This is one of the very rare days that we've had some dry weather, so he's putting another window in. Last time we spoke, we talked about quite a lot of different things because there has been an awful lot happening in this long period of time. We spoke about attending OFII, the medicals, the mandated French lessons for Andy. We spoke about the house, social media, the architect's plans and costings, of course. So there has been an awful lot, like I just said. We've had some good weather. We've had some friends over from the UK, which was great to see. We've had some really bad weather. Winds, you may have heard, were in excess of 150 kilometres per hour. And more recently, over the past month, we've had nothing but rain. The garden is a complete mess. The field at the back is a complete mess. But at least we've had a couple of odd days where we've been able to put some of the Velux windows in, which we'll go through. Planning permission has passed, but again, we'll talk about that later. So if you're new, it's so good to see you and welcome back to everybody else. And before we go into it, I'll just say how nice, but it kind of took me by surprise that it was good to see people that watch the channel, see them in person, and they go, "Hi, you must be Sally Ann, and this must be the missing husband Andy." That was kind of weird, but also very nice. So good to see you again, Dougie. Right, let's dive in. Okay, so we've now attended the OFII. So you know that we've done the medical. You know that we've done the French assessment. We had to do 4 civilian days, which were 4 days at St. Lo, which is about 50 kilometres away from where we are. Just in an industrial unit it is. It's quite nice to see other people. We did meet some people that aren't too far away from us. We had to attend 4 separate days, and you're not allowed to actually get your certificate that say you've passed unless you do. It's part of your contract with France to say that you will integrate with the system. I must say though, a lot of what you do on those days isn't relevant to our visa. For instance, you do go through employment benefits, how to find a job, all of the things that we just can't do. So whilst it was great in some respects to meet other people, it can be quite frustrating. It's the good with the bad, you have to accept it. So we've now got that letter or certificate, whatever you want to call it, to put in with the visa pack. So that has gone for the renewal process, which again we'll talk about later. I got my certification anyway to say that my French was good enough. Andy's doing his mandated hours, but it's just one of the things that you have to do. The good thing is you do get a little ticket that you can use after completion that allows 2 people free entry to one of the popular sightseeing places such as Mont Saint-Michel. Downside to that now is we completed ours in October. It's done nothing but rain, and obviously frost has set in. It's short days. Yeah, you really don't want to be going, but it's done. Okay, so that part is done and it will not need to be repeated. So the mandated French lessons. My advice to anybody coming over to France is start learning now. It is much, much, much easier and so much more convenient to take your OFII, your test, and pass it there and then than it is to complete any of the mandated hours that you may or may not end up with. Andy was allocated just 200 hours, which we started off whilst waiting for planning permission to do 3 days a week. However, if you imagine a class, nobody in that class speaks English at all. teacher doesn't speak English. The people in it, you may be the only English person there, which again should or shouldn't be a problem. However, if somebody is talking in a language that you don't know and you say, excuse me, miss, I don't know what you're talking about, simply repeating what you don't know does not make you know it. So even the basics, if I said to you, stilo, 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 it's a stilo, you'd be like, well, what are you talking about? Where if I said, it's a stilo, you would know that I mean it's a pen. So the lessons have been quite difficult, not just for us, in our Facebook group as well. And a lot of people have dropped out of the mandated lessons and decided to do their own. We've changed Andy to a different location and reduced his hours so that, you know, now planning permissions come through, he can spend time on actually building what's going to make us the money to stay than attending the lessons, which will not allow us to make the money that we are needed and required by the French consulate in order to stay. So we've reduced down to 1 day a week rather than 3 from that point of view, and changed location so that there is another person there that's English that he can at least speak to over lunch. Makes it a lot easier, or at least if you know, they can converse, you know, do you know what she's talking about, that kind of thing. Both of us still do additional lessons a week as well privately. I do mine in the local town, €12 a week on a Friday. Andy does his a bit further away. It's a male group, it's €10 a week. So again, they've been a real help, and Andy will be testing out shortly. Don't know if he'll pass or not, because again, it all depends on whether the test mimics what's done in OFII or whether it's totally different. And I've got a feeling that some of it will be different. So you are allowed to test out halfway through. So for Andy, that's 100 hours. For others, unfortunately, that's slightly more. And there was a lady joining his group the other day that she was allocated 600 hours. Now, that is the maximum that you can be allocated, and is usually reserved for those who don't attend any education prior to that, i.e. school. So fingers crossed, if you are looking to come over on a working type visa, an entrepreneur, what's the other one? Can't remember, but there's 2 types of working visas, and then obviously there's employment contracts. So if you do decide to come over on them, I would suggest learning ASAP. Okay, so part of the visa requirements, as I've gone through before, is that you must make X amount of euros per year in order to stay. So we registered the business based on renting the house out as a sheet in, I think it was July time that the house was ready, and then we put it online for August. We decided, rightly or wrongly at the time, that due to not knowing the process of registering a business, due to the language barriers, and seemed to be quite faffy to use a hand holder. So to register the business for 2 people, it was about €300. The bills only just come through. Everybody leaves their bills till Christmas. So that has come through and that has to be paid. But it wasn't that straightforward. Documents went missing. It has now been, well, it's November, let's face it. And although the business is registered, and we registered it with the Marie as well, that was pretty straightforward. Getting our information on URSAF so that we could actually pay our social contributions was quite difficult. So we ended up putting 4 months on at one go in order to do that. And we needed to show money coming through and that we were registered for the visa renewal. So that was very, very, very frustrating. And once you've registered the business, that's how you get into the healthcare system. Some doctors won't take you on until you're in the healthcare system. There's no doctors around here, so we're having to look at recommendations. We're not in the healthcare system yet because although the business is registered, the details haven't gone through to what they call CPAM. So we haven't got a carte vitale. We're not in the system at the moment, so we're still paying private healthcare, or paying even. So once we've got into the system, we can stop paying private healthcare and just have a mutual top-up, which would be so much cheaper. So we have our SIRIN number, we have our SIRIT number. I have my social security number, Andy does not. So no healthcare, no carte vitale, and Andy hasn't got a social healthcare. So we're on IMPI, which is good. We're now on URSAF. It's just such a way. If I could have a book, an instruction that said, right, you do this and this will go to here, but they won't be missing this, then you need to do this, then you need to do that. That would be so much easier. Whereas using a hand holder, I thought that's what they would do. I thought that's what they would say. No. Communication between hand holders seems to be very poor. You do have to chase them. Would I do it again? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I can't say I would. And I did make an error in the previous video as well. I mentioned about paying tax on 100% of what you earn. You do, but because of our visa, we get an abatement of 50%. So we have to pay tax on the gross income of 50% of what we earn. So if, for instance, this year we earn 20,000, the tax will be taxable on 10,000. So a slight correction. Okay, so the house, and as you can see, I've started to decorate. Wanted to get some pictures on for the web. The house has been completed. It is 100%. I'm happy with it. There are a couple of things I want to tweak for next year, but we're happy enough with it so that we rented it out. We advertised it as soon as it was ready. We got bookings for August, September, October and November. And that meant us going in the caravan, which, considering the weather that I've already mentioned, wasn't that easy. So whether we'll do that again next year or not, I don't know. I have had to redo the visa plan, the business plan for the visa. So yeah, I did give that a lot of consideration. So I'm just taking another sip of the tea there. It's beginning to warm up in the house now. I didn't have the radiators on earlier. They are now on. So I've got the radiator on in front of me, and I've got the fire that we just brought at the back. We've also put some insulation upstairs in the loft. There was none, and I think there's about 600 mil now. So yes, it's not too bad. It's starting to warm up. Okay, so social media. Obviously, I'm still doing this. I have built the website. At the moment, it's just in English. So I need to block out some spaces to translate some of that to French. Although I'm not actually sure if that is necessary anymore. But I did want to look at French and Dutch. So that is obviously perfectjeetsinnormandy.com if you wanted to have a look. It is on the third-party websites, Booking and Airbnb. And the new Jeet, or Jeet number 1, the original Jeet, should be ready, I would say April, May time to rent out. The next major plan that we've got to do is the Foss Septique outside. That's probably going to be about 20 grand. So we want to make sure that we can get everything else done this side of Christmas. Well, I say everything else. We want to make sure that we can get one of the bedrooms ready, bar plumbing. So that we can then go downstairs and get the downstairs done, bar the plumbing for the kitchen. Then at least if we've got one bedroom, one bathroom and all downstairs done, we can start putting it on and getting it advertised. Fingers crossed. Okay, so the car. Cost us quite a bit of money so far, but not as much as if we had have not owned the car for over 6 months, or if we decided to get a car on the French regulations, or to buy a car in France, shall I say. So it was €75 to get the CT, which we've done. Then it was €45 to get it on ANTS, which is the system that the French use to be able to register your car and get it through the system. We'd already done the fog lights in the UK, so that was already done. But because it was demanded to go through DRAIL, we needed to get new front European halogen headlights. So that was another €450 from that point of view. In between that, it was registered as going through immatriculation, let me get the word right, and we were asked to put it on temporary plates. The cost of temporary plates seems to vary from place to place. A week before I went, a friend went, hers was €42. When we got there, it was €62.50 to have, but we did need 3 plates doing because of the trailer. We have a small trailer, and small trailers need to be on your own car. If it's a larger trailer over 700 kg, it needs to have its own plates. So we had to pay $62.50 to get temporary plates put on the car and the trailer. So that was done. Drill, whatever they want to call it, is tomorrow. Can't say I'm looking forward to that, mainly because my language isn't quite good enough yet to have a full-blown conversation and tell him where the manufacturer's plate is on the system. You do receive a letter, which we've got, and you have to take all the documents, including the invoice, to say that the headlights have changed. They need to see the E number on the headlights and to make sure that's happened. They need to see the manufacturer's stamp on the engine. Yeah, you try and find it. So from that point of view, that's going to be fun. And the letter states the car must be in a pristine washed condition inside and out. It's going to rain tomorrow morning. So as soon as we've done this and as soon as Andy's finished in there, I think we're going to have to look at the rest of the car. I have started to empty some of the things out of it. However, if they're not going in the car as such, other than to pop the bonnet, I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, I've got to pay €90 for the process. So that's another one. Once that's done, we will then need to pay another $62.50 for more plates once we get the proper registration number, and a tax on emissions, which nobody can tell me what that is. That seems to be a well-kept secret. I've asked the insurers who are putting it through the system whether they can ask, and I was just told, well, we don't really know. Put a couple of hundred aside. That's not bad compared to what other people have been charged, so let's see what they come back with. Okay, costings. Maybe about a week or two out of date, and we've still got one bill that we're waiting for. I've had an email to say that some posters arrived because it's up the driveway, so we'll see whether that's in there. But I looked at the Excel spreadsheet, and we've probably spent about 26 grand so far. So yeah, it's a fair amount, but if you think about it, the flooring we haven't got the bit between the concrete and the flooring, so we need to, whatever that's called, we need to sort that. I haven't ordered the kitchen yet, but I'm trying to keep that as base and easy as possible. I've downgraded the cooker that I was going to get, because again, it isn't a house, it's a gîte, so there's no need for a range cooker to be in there. That is what I want, so I've done that. What else? Can't think of anything else. Obviously we've got the 3 suites. We've got to start looking at furniture, but there's nowhere to store furniture at the moment, and because it's not entirely watertight up there until those windows arrived, I don't really want to be bringing furniture in that could go a bit between now and then. So yeah, barn renovation, about 26k. And that doesn't include the new faucet, but does include all the things that we mentioned earlier. And in addition, for the second sheet, we have the plasterboards left over. We have an extra staircase that we brought 2 at the same time. So there's quite a few things, the electrical bits, that we can all use on that. So yeah, not great, not bad. Okay, so what's next? Well, the windows for downstairs have been ordered, and the door, so we'll need to go and pick them up. That's a bit of a palaver. The way that the French do look at windows, they come out and give you a measurement of the inside and the outside. in terms of the outside of the window and the inside. So when you get your drawings, it's like, oh, what they're doing. And also, so we've had some friends had some not very good experiences where they've ordered French doors and they asked for 2 handles and only one arrived, so you can't open it from the outside. So a little bit nervous, took a long time, and the original quote that we got was about €4,500, which was without one of the windows. Then that went up to 8.5 with fitting. Then that came down, because we said, that's taking the mickey. That came down to 3.5. And hopefully what we've done now is find somewhere that is just over 2. So we've travelled that maybe a bit more, because it is quite a bit of a journey. So once that's the windows are in and the doors are on, then we can start looking at putting the flooring down. Then we can start looking at the kitchen. I'm just going to go for a bog standard kitchen, off the shelf. I've measured up, I've planned it out, so that should fit in, and hopefully we won't have too many problems. Fingers crossed. What else do we need to do? I'm just looking at my notes because there's so much. Yeah, once the first bedroom's done, I'll need to dress that, and I'll need to get the pictures on. I'll need to do another third party advertising, so I'll have the house and then sheet 1, so I need to come up with a name for it. I'll need to change the registration that I've done with the Marie from having 1 place up to 6 people to having 2 places up to 14, because eventually that place, the sheet number 1, I keep saying that place, will be able to accommodate 8 people, and then the sheet 2 will be able to accommodate 6. So where the house accommodates 6, 1 will be swinging around about. What else? Oh, at some point we'll be able to do. We started tape and jointing on bedroom 1, but we're not in a situation at the moment where we can get that sanded and finish the tape and jointing, get it sanded and get it painted. We're just not there, so that will happen. And oh yes, we do have a very slight leak in the roof in bedroom 2. However, it's not actually leaked, but you can see a hole. So we need to get that sorted. Easier said than done. Somebody who's been kind enough to loan us their roof ladders. However, they're not long enough. They're about 1 metre too short, so we've still got the same problem. And when you put something on social media, does anybody that can help this, and we put a picture up, instead of getting help, you get silly things like, oh, the ladder should be the other way round. Nope, Sherlock. We can't put it the other way round because we can't actually reach it. So, yeah, we do need to get that sorted at some point. But it's, because it's not imminently an issue, it does need to be done at some point. And it will need to be done before that bedroom's done. So we'll get there. We'll get there. The garden's had some fruit trees in. We need to get some more laurels to finish off the bottom row, and we need to, so that'll go, the laurels will go down that way and down this way to the gate. So we need to decide what we're going to do with the driveway this way, because you can get on this side, you can see the road further down, not immediately, but because there's nothing in the field, it's kind of, it just feels a little bit intrusive when it really shouldn't be. So we need to look at doing the garden. Can't think of anything else. Maybe a trip back to the UK to see people. Would be nice if we could get that organised. But yeah, that seems to be about it. So again, like I say, my apologies. If you could like and subscribe if you haven't already, that would be brilliant. And if you could just drop me a comment to say hi. And at some point, the house will be warm enough for me to be able to take at least 1 layer off. But no, it does get warm, but again, I didn't have the radiators on, like I say. And even though the sun is bright and I've had to shut the blinds and the curtains because I've not had the heating on, it just felt a little bit too cold. and I didn't want to be sat here shaking like this. Okay, so that's it. I hope that next time we will be able to give you news on the visa. We have submitted the paperwork, and that was an ordeal at the post office, but the post office here is really good. We have submitted it, but we have heard on the grapevine that our prefecture is not that fast. So fingers crossed, we'll go through it, and fingers crossed they don't need any more paperwork, and we'll get the next year's visa. We know that they're not issuing more than 1 year in this area. Friends have got 4-year visas issued in other areas, but this one doesn't do that. So yeah, hopefully we'll have news on that. Hopefully we will be in the healthcare system so that we can stop paying this private healthcare and start just paying a smaller amount on a mutual top-up so that I can get to see the doctors and the dentist. And hopefully would have been back to the UK and said hi to everybody. Okay. Until next time. And I won't promise to do them any quicker. I am going to try to make sure I do them quicker so that you won't be waiting weeks and weeks and weeks. And hopefully you've enjoyed some of the videos and some of the pictures that we've put on. Again, any comments, please just put them in and I'll answer them as soon as. Bye.